Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, folks. It is Saturday morning. It is 11 o'clock. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Once again, thank you for joining me, Imam Abdurrahman Bashir. Booted off there for a second. So we're going to start in a few minutes. Take this opportunity to go ahead and get someone to stream it for you on the big screen so you can sit back and relax. Our storytime programs are made to be a family experience of all ages. There will be a lot to cover. There'll be a lot to learn. And we have a special guest that we are going to be welcoming today, as we have been doing for the past, I want to say maybe 7 story times. If you would like your child to be featured with me as my co-pilot, please follow the link in the event description or in the comment section. Adults, parents, please feel free to share your children's comments or share your own comments. We're looking for people to cheer on our guest storytime co-pilot for today. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take a seat back and give you all another minute to set up and chill back and relax. Don't forget to have your breakfast at the same time if you haven't had. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Once again, audience, moms, dads, family members, young and old, thank you for joining me for story time this week. Today, we are going to be welcoming Leyana Hassan, who's an 8-year-old girl from right here in our community, our own very own Masjid, Allen Masjid family. So she's waiting backstage, ready to join us. Before we get started, I would just like to share a few things with y'all. Today's book that we are going to be covering is called Sadiq and the Green Thumb. Last time we had Sadiq and the Desert Star. Sadiq and is a series of books that is available. Very educational, very inspiring stories. And we're going to talk a little bit about the author and where you can get your book from. So let me just go ahead and set up the stage for you. Go ahead and move this banner. Before we get started, however, just like I say every single week, you have the opportunity. We would like to see your family. We would like to see how your family enjoys story time. And there is a link in the comment section. where you can take a picture and submit your pictures. And hey, you know what? We may even show it live in today's broadcast. So please don't give up. Don't pass up on that opportunity. At the same time, folks, story time. Yeah, if you have a smart TV, if you have the YouTube app, or if you're watching it on a mobile device, please ask your parent, guardian, or an adult to go ahead and stream it over to your TV, so that way you can sit back and relax and watch story time. All right. Like I said before, we're going to have a lot of fun. Send me your pictures. I want to see how you have breakfast, what you have for breakfast. Please let us in your living room. We want to be in your living room. We want to see your living room. Show us how you enjoy. We've had so many pictures, mashallah, that have been submitted over the weeks that we have showed. And let's keep this trend going on. Some of our Storytime programs, by the way, include a book giveaway. At the end of our second Planet Umar book, we had a book giveaway. Muslih and Ibrahim, both of these young gentlemen, they won their books and received their copies, and you could be too. So stay tuned for those opportunities for us to win the book. Okay, as I mentioned, you have the opportunity to join me, okay, live on the internet. During story time, we have Rumaysa over here. We had a young brother named Wasil, Omar Abdul Hafiz, Muslih, and Nilo. Last week, we had Mirwais Murad. And today, we are going to be welcoming a new guest. By the way, before we get started, I just want you to know, I want to let everyone know that the books, the digital copy of this book that you are going to be enjoying today is not a bootleg free PDF copy that I have searched for on the internet. I have purchased this from Amazon. I've paid the amount for it, so that way we can support authorship, so we can support the Muslim authors who work hard for these books so that we can enjoy from. And I ask that you do the same, not just for this book, but for any Islamic publication that people put a lot of work and time into. Please pay the money, and please support our authors. Okay, today we are going to be welcoming Leyana. All right, and here she is. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How you doing?
Good, alhamdulillah, I'm doing well.
Alhamdulillah, good morning. Hey, I hope you are as excited as I am and as the entire audience is to be here with us this morning.
Yes, I am very excited.
All right, alhamdulillah. So Lyanna, before we get started with the story time, I want to take a minute to introduce you to our community. Now, as I mentioned, folks, Lyanna is 8 years old. She lives in Allen with she lives with her parents, okay, the two adults, and two younger siblings. So Lyanna is big sister, okay? And her background heritage is Egypt, okay? So we're going to talk a little bit about, I want you to, oh, hold on. Where you go? Let me share that. All right. So her background heritage is Egypt. Now, this is something for those of you who are watching. Sadiq and the book Sadiq series it centers around a child whose family is originally from Somalia. They live in Minnesota, and I like to take the opportunity this Saturday morning in story time to display the different backgrounds and the different the diversity that we have in the beautiful ummah of Islam. All right, let me go ahead and mute Lyanna for a second. All right, so as I was mentioning, her parents, their heritage is from Egypt. Now, where is Egypt, by the way? So if you ever see a map, if you ever see the globe, you see the big continent of Africa. Egypt is right there in that yellow block. Egypt is a large country in northern Africa. It has a whopping 104 million people, so it's not a small little country, y'all. It's a beautiful country. It's home to the Nile River, which is the largest river in the world. The capital city of Egypt is Cairo. I'm sure Lyanna knows that. It's the second largest city in the entire continent of Africa with 21 million people in just the city of Cairo. 21 million people. Okay. Now, Egypt is about 386,000 square miles. It borders along the Red Sea. And also it shares borders with Libya, Sudan, Israel, and the Gaza Strip. So that is a little bit about Egypt. A little more about Egypt. How big is Egypt? So if you were to take the state of Texas and land it on Egypt, that's what it would look like in the first picture. And then if you would pick up the country of Egypt and land it on Texas on the bottom, that's how that would look like. Okay. Now, when we talk about Egypt, most of the country speaks Arabic. Okay. It is considered to be the most populous country in the Arabic world. 90% of the country is Muslim, while 10% is Coptic Christian. Now, fun facts about Egypt. By the way, if you didn't know, the first people to live on the banks of the Nile were hunters and fishermen who settled there about 8,000 years ago. So it is it is a cradle of ancient civilization, and ancient Egypt was the greatest and most powerful civilizations in the history of the world that lasted for over 3,000 years. Yeah, so Egypt has a lot of rich history. What else is Egypt known for? A very famous Islamic university called Al-Azhar that was founded in the year 975. Egypt is also home to the Giza pyramid complex. And guess what? It's not like dead smack in the middle of nowhere, out in the desert. It's only 8 miles from the city of Cairo, and it can be seen from the city. You see this picture up here? Yeah, that's Cairo with a view of the pyramids all the way in the back. Okay, the greatest pyramid is the tallest pyramid, and it was built in ancient Egypt around 2650 BC. All right, another very important and famous place in Egypt is Mount Sinai. Okay, and this is called Jabal Musa. Can you guess why Jabal Musa is called Jabal Musa? I'll give you a second to think about it. Jabal means mountain and Musa means exactly the Prophet Musa alayhi salam. This is the mountain that is considered to be the place where Musa alayhi salam received the 10 commandments from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the surah that is talked about in the Quran. All right. Wattini wa zaytun wa turi sinin. That's turi sinin, y'all. Okay. So if you know that surah, now you know the mountain too. All right. Now, what does Lyanna like? Lyanna loves math. She loves art, hopefully not drawing on the walls. Okay. And she likes to play with her siblings. That is so awesome. It's so awesome to get along and play and have fun with your siblings. What else does Lyanna like? She likes spaghetti and meatballs. Now, I would like to make one thing clear for our audience. She likes meatballs and spaghetti. Yeah. She likes meatballs and spaghetti, not necessarily spaghetti and meatballs, if you know what I mean. So Lyanna likes more meatball per spaghetti, okay, and bigger meatballs. And she also likes tacos. So for Lyanna, Taco Tuesday, Taco Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, they're all good. Every day is taco day. All right. She also likes soccer as well. And her favorite soccer player is Mo Salah. Yes. And he is everyone's favorite soccer player. Okay. So thank you for joining me, Lyanna. All right. And we are going to go ahead and get started with our program, inshallah, story time. Before we get going, let's see. We have someone's giving you a shout out. Assalamu alaikum, Imam and Lyanna from Isa. Okay. So, hey, Lyanna, Lyanna, guess what? Guess what? You on the internet. You on the internet. Yeah. I'm just reminding you because you were telling me that you're feeling a little nervous. So I just want to remind you, okay? Yeah, that we're live and we're on the internet. But guess what? Girl, you're going to be doing good. We have a shout out from Sister Salvi. Assalamu alaikum, Lyanna and Imam ARB. Asya and I are so excited to see you on Storytime. Lyanna, we love your background. Ooh, look at that. Yeah, so we're getting shout outs on the background already. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the story time, okay? So folks, thank you for joining me. Don't forget to post your pics on the link in the event description and also in the comment section. And let's cheer Lyanna on, okay? Lyanna. All right, everyone, do your cheer while you're stuffing your faces with cereal, pancakes, or whatever it is for you late breakfast. You late breakfast people, okay? So Now, the way the story time is going to work, wherever you see Lyanna's face pop up, that's the page she's going to be reading. And then wherever you see my Bitmoji sitting on my beanbag reading a book, that's the pages that I'm going to read. So before we get into the actual book itself, I'm going to set up the stage for you. Hi, I'm Sadiq. Now, obviously, I'm not Sadiq. I'm Imam ARB. Okay, so the main character in the book is introducing himself. Hi, I'm Sadiq. My family and I live in Minnesota, but my parents are from Somalia. Sometimes we speak Somali at home. I'd like you to meet my family and learn some interesting facts from our culture. All right. Now, most Somali people belong to one of four major groups. Most Somali people are nomadic, which means they travel from place to place. They search for water, food, and land for their animals. Somalia is mostly desert. It doesn't rain often there. And the camel is an important animal to Somali people. Camels can survive a long time without food or water. And around 99% of all Somalis are Muslim. Now, folks who are watching at home, there are going to be some words that are used from the Somali language. So ayah, okay, when you hear the word ayah, it means verse. It actually comes from the Arabic word meaning a verse of the Holy Quran. We are going to be talking about a Quran teacher today in Sadiq and the Green Thumbs. Baba, that is the word for dad. Okay, hey Lyanna, what do you call your dad?
I call him Baba too.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, Baba is not, Baba is used in a lot of countries, okay? Now, another word that you're going to hear today is Ashar, okay? Ashar, spelled with a C. It's an Arabic term for lesson. So whenever you go to Quran class and when your teacher says, okay, tomorrow you have to memorize from this line to this line, that homework that you go back with in Quran class is called Ashar. Habo means aunt, okay? Like for example, in Arabic, we say what? Khalti, okay? So habo. Hoyo, okay? Hoyo is mother in the Somali language. Okay, there are some other words that that I'm going to get you familiar with. Kufi, a close-fitting round hat. You know the hat a lot of people wear when they go to masjid or when they go to Quran class? That is called a kufi, okay? Ma'alin, teacher, which it's very close to Arabic. In Arabic, it's muallim. Okay, ya ustad, ya muallim. Hey, teacher, ustad. So that is in Somalia, they used ma'allim. And salam means, salam alaikum, right? Salam, what's up? All right. Now, I want to give you a little more fun facts about Somalia. If you look at Somalia on a map, it's right there on the Horn of Africa. It's a large country located in East Africa. The capital of Somalia is Mogadishu. So it has about 15 million people, okay? And over 1 million of those people live in the capital city. Most of the land in Somalia is used to graze cattle. A few crops are grown. And Somalia is about 246,000 square miles. It makes it a little bit smaller than the state of Texas. Texas is big. Okay, Texas is bigger than Egypt. Texas is bigger than Somalia. Texas is bigger than a lot of places. Okay, some fun facts about Somalia, as the author mentioned in the intro, almost 100% of the residents in Somalia are Muslims. Somalia has many amazing landmarks, including beautiful masjids. Some masjids that are about 1,200 years old. This is something that I shared in a couple of weeks ago. 2-3 weeks ago, that one of the oldest masjids in Africa is called Masjidul Qiblatain. Okay, and this masjid has two qiblas. So in other words, this masjid was built at a time when in Islam, the Muslims were facing Masjid al-Aqsa, and then it switched over to Mecca. This masjid goes back to the 7th century, shortly after the migration to Habasha. For those of you who are watching, you young folks who have studied migration or the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, early in Islam, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent a group of people to go to Abyssinia and Habasha, and this masjid is from that time. Okay, so yes. At one point, Muslims were facing Jerusalem, Masjid al-Aqsa, and about 18 months after moving to Medina, the Prophet ﷺ received the command from Allah to start facing Mecca. So this masjid also bared two qiblas. That's how far back it goes. All right, so we are going to get started with Sadiq and the Green Thumbs. Sadiq and the Green Thumbs. Sadiq and the Green Thumbs. Okay, I'm just mentioning that 3 times. By the way, we have Leyana, we have Assalamu alaikum from Asia and Hana. Okay, you know them? All right.
Yes.
Why don't you go ahead and say a walaikum salam to them?
Walaikum salam.
You also have Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum from Ibrahim Makhdumi. Say wa alaikum salam.
Walaikum salam.
All right, mashallah. And we have a whole bunch of other shout outs, which I'm going to, inshallah, we're going to share with you over time. So keep the cheers coming in. Lyanna, are you ready for this? All
Yep.
right. Okay. So I start, okay? And then inshallah you're going to get started. Chapter 1, Sadiq goes to Dugsi. Dugsi means Quran class. Okay. Sadiq, Hoyo called up the stairs. Please hurry up or we'll be late for Dugsi. We have to pick up Zaza on the way. Sadiq's mother checked to make sure her hijab was secured properly with a pin. I'm coming, Hoyo, said Sadiq, running down the stairs. He didn't want to be late for Quran school. I was just looking for my Kufi. Oh my God. Speaking about just looking for my Kufi, give me a second. And boom, this is the Kufi, also known as Topi. We're going to talk about that in a bit. It was summer and school was out, but Sadiq still had to attend Quran class for 4 days a week to learn the Quran, right? How does it always get lost? Asked Huyo. She shook her head and smiled. I don't know, Huyo, but I always find it, Sadiq said. Kufis were small hats he wore for Duxi. He had 3 of them, but they were always falling behind his bed or getting lost or something in his clothes. You're on mute, sweetie. There you go.
Why are we giving Zaza a ride? Sadiq asked while he tied his shoes. Fazia's car broke down, Huyo said as they headed out the driveway. She had to go it towed to the auto shop. They lived close by, so I said I would be happy to give Zaza a ride. That's nice of you, Huyo, said Sadiq. He got into the car and buckled his seatbelt. Soon they got to Zaza's house. He was standing outside waiting for them with his mom. Bye, Julio, Zaza said, waving as he walked to the car. Thanks again, Samia, said Fazia. You saved me. Anytime, Fazia, said Julio, waving out the window of the car. It's no trouble at all.
As I was mentioning, Kufi, right? Kufi are the hats that many people wear when they go to the masjid. Children wear when they go for Quran class. Okay, they come in different sizes, different styles, and different colors. Okay, so yeah, topis. Okay, so they're called topis or kufis, and just like Lyanna is wearing a hijab. Okay, guys, they wear a topi. So that's just to give you a little background. So yeah, topi is something that we wear whenever we sit down to read Quran or memorize Quran or when we go to the masjid. Okay, you don't have to, but it's good if you do. Looks good. Keep your head warm. Okay, Sadiq and Zaza walked into the classroom just ahead of their teacher, Mr. Qasim. Sadiq was a little afraid of Mr. Qasim. Last week, Mr. Qasim had glared at Sadiq when he forgot his ayahs. That only made it harder for Sadiq to remember them, right? He's like, hey, I'm watching you. Yeah, you didn't learn your Quran today, girl. Yeah. The other students were already sitting down with their Qurans open. Zaza and Sadiq slid into their seats on either side of their friend Manny. Assalamu alaikum, children, said Mr. Qasim. Wa alaikum assalam, ma'allin, replied all the kids back at once. Before we get started, I have a quick announcement to make, Mr. Qasim said as he stood in front of the class. Okay, you see that? What are on their heads? Kufis. Okay, go ahead.
After class, a carpenter is coming to put in new storage cupboards for the classroom, Mr. Qasim said. I'll need a few students to stay behind and roll up the prayer mats. I hurt my shoulder over the weekend, so I can't do on my own. Sadiq looked down at his Quran. He didn't really want to stay behind. Are you Are you going to volunteer? Mani whispered. Sadiq shook his head. I'm supposed to go biking with Nurali when I get home. Does everyone remember their cashier from last week? Mr. Kassam interrupted before Mani could reply. Yes, all the students replied. Okay, let's start with you, Hashim, said Mr. Qasim. Come up here and recite your kashif. Everyone turned to their Qur'ans to do some last-minute reading, but Sadiq couldn't help thinking about his mom.
All right. So Sadiq couldn't stop help thinking about his mom helping Habo Faiza that morning. He knew helping people in times of need was the right thing to do, but he really wanted to go for a bike ride. Okay? That's you, Lyanna.
Later that day, after Sadiq and Nurali went biking, they helped Baba go to the grocery shopping. As they got out of the car, Nurali heard across the big food parking lot. Isn't that your Malian from
Mal,
Dusky?
ma,
Malin
Malin.
from Dusky? Sadiq, he asked. You're right, Nurali, said Baba, as they walked toward the store entrance. That's Mr. Qasim. Why is he moving so slowly? His shoulder must still be hurting, said Sadiq. He told us about today. Let's help him put his groceries in the cart. He shouldn't lift heavy items if he's injured, said Baba. He walked toward Mr. Qasim. Salam Qasim, Baba called. Sadiq tells me you hurt your shoulder. Let me get that for you. He picked up.
All right. So now what happened when they went to help their dad grocery shopping? They saw their Quran teacher over there, but they noticed the Quran teacher was walking really slow. Why? Because he shared with them that he had hurt his shoulder. So Salam Qasim, Baba called. Sadiq tells me you hurt your shoulder. Let me get that for you. He picked up some bags from the cart. Then he placed them in the trunk of Mr. Qasim's car. Salam Muhammad, said Mr. Qasim. That's very nice of you. Thank you. It's not too bad, really. He frowned a little. Nurali joined Baba. He moved two bags from the cart to Mr. Qasim's car. Then he took the cart to the corral. What happened? Asked Baba. Well, I was reaching for a flashlight I keep in the top kitchen cabinet. Suddenly, I felt a sharp pain in my shoulder, said Mr. Qasim. And oh my God, it's been hurting ever since. You should be at home resting, said Baba.
My wife traveled to Somalia last week to care for her mom who is sick. I needed to get groceries, said Mr. Qasim. I wanted to do some gardening and other chores around the house, but I wasn't able to do because my shoulder injury. This I can do on my own at least. You should see the doctor. It continues to you, Qasim. You wouldn't want to hurt yourself even more, said Baba. Have a nice day. Let us know if you need anything. Thanks, said Mr. Qasim as he waved goodbye to Sadiq and his family. As Nurali, Baba, and Sadiq went into the store to shop, Sadiq was quiet. He thought about his mother helping Abu Fazia when she needed it. He also thought about Baba and Nurali helping Mr. Qasim to put his groceries into the car. I probably should have helped Mr. Qasim with the mat, he thought. He felt bad for his teacher and also a little guilty.
So now Sadiq, you remember when Sadiq's teacher asked if they can help? Sadiq was a little hesitant because Sadiq was a little upset that he didn't get extra time to go ride his bike because he didn't have his homework memorized. But then he remembered his mom helping somebody give somebody a ride. Then he saw his dad helping his Quran teacher with the groceries. So he started to feel a little guilty about not helping his Quran teacher earlier that day. All right. After they got home, Nurali put away the groceries. Sadiq asked his mom if he could go play outside. He knew he should help Nurali, but Sadiq didn't like doing chores. And who does, right? Do you like doing chores, Lyanna? Yeah, good, good, awesome. But Sadiq didn't like doing chores. He would much rather play soccer or video games. Yes, but only for a half hour or so, said Huyo. It's almost time for dinner. Sadiq hurried outside. Zaza and Manny were already in the park kicking a soccer ball. Hey, I saw Mr. Qasim at the grocery store, Sadiq said. Oh, Mr. Qasim is mean, said Zaza. I'm still mad at him for making us stay behind last weekend and do extra homework. He told my mom she took away video games for a week, said Manny. So Manny was upset with the teacher. Zaza is upset with the teacher. He made a face, right? Manny made a face. If you hadn't made me laugh in class, Zaza, we could be playing the new space sprinter now. Maybe we should help him, though, Sadiq said. He's hurt, and his wife is gone away for a long time.
Mani and Zaza frowned and shook their heads. He doesn't need our help, Mani said. I bet he got friends who can help him. Come on, guys, Zaza said. It will be dark soon. Let us see if we can get a soccer game in before then. He ran towards other group of kids down the field, kicking his soccer ball ahead of him.
All right. Okay, so hey, Lyanna, we got a couple of shout outs. Okay, we got Dina Hassan. Woohoo, Lyanna.
She's
And
my
then we-
aunt.
Oh, mashallah, mashallah. And we have a shout out from Athar Ramadan. Assalamu alaikum, Lulu. So now I know your nickname now. That's it. I'm not calling you Lyanna no more. Okay, you're going to be Lulu from now, okay? We are proud of you. We love you. We have Saim Khan saying salam. Then we have, again, from Sundus and Dina. So proud of you, okay? Sundus Hassan saying, good job, Lulu. Mashallah, that is awesome. Okay. So yeah, we got, hey, you getting famous, girl? Yeah. All right. The next morning, Sadiq and Nurali were in their room getting ready to go downstairs for breakfast. Are you playing soccer with Zada and Zaza and Manny later? Asked Nurali. I'm not sure yet, replied Sadiq. Mr. Qasim might give us extra homework. He looked like he was in pain yesterday. Maybe he'll let you out early, said Nurali. I felt sorry for him, said Sadiq. He didn't look as mean as he usually does, you know. Are you sure it's not his bushy eyebrows, said Nurali. He tried to make a scary face. Haha, very funny, said Sadiq. He stuck his tongue out. Anyway, he could probably use some help in the class or even at home. Okay, said Nurali. Let's see. He could use, or even at home, said Nurali. Yesterday, he said that he wanted to garden.
Should I offer to help him? Asked Sadiq. I think that would be a nice thing to do, Sadiq replied Nurali. Let's go downstairs. You can talk to Baba and Huyo about it. Sadiq looked up to Nurali and thought he was the smartest brother in the world. If Nurali thinks I should help Mr. Qasim, it must be the right thing to do, Sadiq thought. The brothers headed downstairs for breakfast. As they sat down at the table to eat with their family, Sadiq spoke up. Baba, Huyo, he said, I was thinking of helping Mr. Qasim. I wanted to make sure it was okay with you. That's very nice thing to do, Sadiq said Baba.
All right. Hey, and of course you can help him, Sadiq. We should always try to help others if we can, said Huyo. Hey, Lyanna, you got a shout out from guess who? Yeah, you got a shout out from Gaddu. Yeah, you got a shout out from Grandpa, right? All right, mashallah, that's awesome. And we also have a shout out from Hanan Al Saadi. Salam alaikum, Lulu. Salam alaikum, Lulu. All right.
He's one of my closest friends.
Mashallah, mashallah. That is awesome. Okay. So now you see they're discussing over the breakfast table if Sadiq should go and help the Quran teacher or not. What will you help him with? Baba asked. Well, he mentioned needing help with some gardening, said Sadiq. Huyo, could we go to his house after Duksi, which means Quran class? Yes, that'll be fine, said his mom. During class at Duksi, Sadiq thought about how to offer Mr. Qasim his help. What if he says no? Or what if he doesn't think I know how to garden, thought Sadiq. He might think I'm offering to help to get out of Quran class. Oh, yeah. All right, trying to be the teacher's pet, right? When class ended, Sadiq took a deep breath and he walked to the front of the classroom. Salam, Sadiq. Did you forget something? Asked Mr. Qasim. Salam, Ma'alin, said Sadiq. No, I didn't forget anything. I just wanted to see if you needed help with your garden. For reals?
I know you hurt your shoulder. It must be hard to garden when you're in pain. Mr. Gesam looked surprised. That is very kind, Sadiq, he said. Did you, did you ask your parents? Yes, Ma'alin, replied Sadiq. They said it was fine as long if it was okay with you. It's really nice of you to offer, Sadiq, said Mr. Gesam. I did want to plant new flowers in the garden for my wife. I was hoping I'm just hoping they would bloom just in time to surprise her when she returns.
Oh, that's pretty thoughtful, huh? He wanted to plant some new flowers, right? So that they can bloom right before his wife comes back. All right, I think that's very kind. I'm sure Mrs. Qasim would like that. They might cheer her up when she gets back, said Sadiq. After Mr. Qasim had locked up, he and Sadiq walked outside together. Huyo was waiting in the parking lot. Sadiq ran toward Huyo's car. Huyo is mama, right? See you at your house, he called to Mr. Qasim. A few minutes later, Sadiq and Huyo arrived at Mr. Qasim's. They walked up to his front door and Sadiq pushed the doorbell. Ding, ding. Salam, Qasim, Huyo said. When Mr. Qasim came to the door, how are you feeling? Salam, Samia. I am still sore, but I'm thankful that Sadiq has very kindly offered to help, said Mr. Qasim as he invited them in. I already bought the soil and seeds and other supplies before I hurt my shoulder, but ever since I haven't been able to do anything. Oh, don't worry, Mr. Qasim. We'll have the garden ready when Mrs. Qasim comes back, said Sadiq.
Let's take a look at the yard, said Mr. Gesam, as he led them toward the back of the house. I can show you where to plant flowers. As they walked outside, Sadiq looked around. It's a really big yard, he said. He was expecting something smaller. Sadiq got to work planting some potted marigolds. Mr. Mr. Gesam had on his porch while Sadiq worked. Mr. Qasim and Huya caught up with each other. They sat down on the desk and chatted while they drank coffee.
All right. So you see over here, the Quran teacher, and Sadiq is helping plant marigolds. Okay. Now, Sadiq dug and planted, dug and planted, dug and planted until the marigolds were all in the ground. It seemed like it had taken hours, but the garden still needed work. There was plenty of empty space that needed to be planted. He was going to need help, a lot of help. I finished planting the marigolds, Mr. Qasim, Sadiq said. Oh, it looks wonderful, Sadiq, Mr. Qasim said. He looked out from the deck. Is it okay if I ask my friends to help with the rest, said Sadiq. I'm sure they'd love to help with the surprise. We could come back tomorrow since we don't have Quran class. Sure, Mr. Qasim, smiling. Thanks, both of you. It's very kind of you to let him come over to help, Samia. You're welcome, Qasim, replied Huyo. What are neighbors for? She smiled. No problem, Mr. Qasim, said Sadiq. He waved goodbye as they walked to the car. I hope I can get Zaza and Manny to help me, said Sadiq to his mother. Well, I just got a text from your Baba. Guess who's waiting at home for you, said Huyo. All right.
As Julio pulled into the driveway, Sadiq spotted Zaza and Mani waiting in the front porch. He hurried out of the car to fill them in on his idea to help Mr. Gasset. They did not seem excited about the possibility. Come on, guys, said Sadiq. I really need your help. We would be doing a nice thing for Mr. Qasim. We could even make a club, but Mr. Qasim is so crabby, said Zaza. He's always frowning, and I think I've ever seen him smile.
Can you do a frown? Do a frown. Let's do a frown. Ready? Yeah. So remember, Zaza and Manny didn't have their homework done. Yeah. So so they weren't happy with their Quran teacher, right? So yeah, they're like, nah, we don't want to help. Well, guess what? Sadiq is going to change their mind. I'm still mad at him for making me stay behind last week, said Manny. If you help, I'll let each of you borrow Jungle Trek for a week, said Sadiq. Zaza and Manny looked at each other and grinned. A whole week? Okay, we'll help. We will help, said Zaza. Sure thing, buddy, said Manny, putting his arm around Sadiq's shoulder. Gardening club, here we come. Yeah, shouted Sadiq. Gardening would be a lot more fun with his friends there to help. All right.
The next day, the boys went over to Mr. Qasim's to help with his garden. The first thing to do is decide where we want to plant and put some markers in the ground so we don't make a mistake them for weeds, said Mr. Qasim. How do we decide where to plant? Asked Sadiq. It's important for these flowers to have plenty of light so they can grow, said Mr. Qasim. I think the sunny corner of the yard would be best. What are we planting? Asked Mani. Sunflower and morning glories, said Mr. Qasim. He picked up a tray of seedlings from the porch. They're small and don't have any flowers yet. They are Miss Qasim's favorite. They're easy to grow as long as they have sunlight and water. How come they're her favorite flowers? Asked Sadiq.
She loves the colors, said Mr. Qasim. Purple and yellow are her favorites. I think she was an LSU fan. So, Lyanna, you may not get that, but people who are watching, adults, know what's up. Purple and yellow are her favorites. Now, let's start by digging holes for the seedlings. We should mark the rows so we remember where we planted them. Then we can begin planting. The boys got to work spreading the soil evenly. Then they began digging holes for the seedlings and marking the rows. As they dug, they found worms wriggling in the soil. Manny held one up in front of Zaza. The boys all laughed. Gardening was actually fun. After a while, Mr. Qasim brought out lemonade for them. Whoa, come and take a break, he said. All right. So you see the little worm, huh? All right. So they are helping their Quran teacher out. They are planting, they're putting seeds into the ground to grow flowers and plants to surprise Miss Qasim when she comes back. Go ahead.
Thank you for the lemonade, said Sadiq. It's really tasty. You're welcome. You're welcome, Mr. Qasim said. You know, I used to help my Huya with her garden when I was a little boy. She didn't let anyone touch the flowers, but she did let me water them for her. Sadiq could not imagine Mr. Qasim as a little boy. Does she like the flowers too? Asked Zaza. Oh yes, said Mr. Qasim. She liked to relax in her garden after a long day, just because the flowers smelled so nice. Just then they heard voices. Hi guys, said Mr. Qasim. Walter and Gavin walked into the yard. The boys lived across the street from Mr. Qasim, and they went to the same school as Sadiq, Zaza, and Mani. Hello, boys, Mr. Qasim said. What are you up to?
All right. So Walter and who was it? Gavin. They came from across the street when they saw everything going on. We saw everyone helping, and it looks like you're having fun. Is it okay we help, Mr. Qasim? Said Walter. Yes, of course you can help, said Mr. Qasim, smiling. We're just about to start planting some seedlings, Sadiq said as he finished his lemonade. We'll do one row of sunflowers and one row of morning glories, then we'll repeat until we run out of room, explained Manny. Awesome, awesome, said Gavin. Now you got everyone working and everyone helping each other out. All right.
My Julio says people who are good at gardening have green thumbs, said Zaza. Maybe we should call ourselves the, the Green Thumbs Club, said said Walter. I like that, said Sadiq. I'm setting I'm setting the next meeting of the Green Thumbs Club for next Saturday afternoon. We'll come here after lunch to help water and weed. Does that work, Mr. Gasson? Perfect. I'll take some from the Green Thumbs Club any day, he said, smiling as the boys got to work planting the seedlings.
All right. Chapter 5, A Bunny in the Garden. When the boys came back the next weekend, they were hoping to see some flowers on the seedlings they planted. There were a few, but Mr. Qasim had some bad news. A bunny had gotten into the garden. It had eaten some of the flower shoots. Oh, said Gavin. They were eaten before they even bloomed for reals? Mr. Qasim nodded sadly. What are we going to do? Asked Walter. I'm not sure, said Sadiq. Could we put up a fence? Good idea. Maybe we can make it, said Manny. Let's go and see if we can find anything in Mr. Qasim's garage that we can use, said Zaza. So now they're going to build a fence, okay? So they went from not wanting to help the Quran teacher to kind of helping to really helping, and now they want to make a fence, all right? So mashallah, talk about a change of heart. Go ahead.
Good idea, Zaza, Mr. Cassim said. He led them to the garage and opened up the door. The boys started looking around slowly. How about these? Asked Sadiq. He pointed those two pieces of wood resting against the wall. I think we would need more than two pieces, said Gavin. What are these metal wires? Asked Walter. That's chicken wire, said Mr. Cassim. I'll have to cut it for you so you don't hurt yourselves, but it would make a good fence. Why don't you boys go measure the garden plot to see how much fencing we'll need? Mr. Cassim handed the boys measuring tape. Sounds good, Mr. Cassim said. Sadiq said, taking the measuring tape, they walked back into the yard. Sadiq and Saza measured the garden while Gavin wrote down the measurements.
All right. So they got some. Whoop, 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 let's put you on mute. Okay, so they have some chicken wire going on. They got some pieces of wood. So basically, what they're trying to do right now, they're trying to use some wired mesh fence, and they're going to use pieces of wood, and they're going to try to make a barrier around the new flowers that the seeds that they planted. So to keep the rabbits and any other type of pests away from it, away from eating it, so that they can finally grow. Okay. They were careful not to step on the small shoots that still sprouted from the ground. When they had finished measuring each side, the boys took the numbers to Mr. Qasim. He was ready with a pair of pliers and a chicken wire. We'll have to put stakes in the ground to hold up the wire, said Mr. Qasim. Every few inches, we'll hammer one into the ground through the chicken wire. My shoulder has been feeling a bit, let's see, better or worse? A bit better. I should be able to do that if you boys can hold up the fence.
The Green Thumbs Club agreed. This was the best plan. Walter and Manny held the wire up while Mr. Cassim hammered the stakes into the ground. The soil was soft, so it wasn't hard to do. Soon they were done. There, said Salsa. Let's see Mr. Bunny try to get through that. They all laughed as they admired the new fence. Hello, boys, someone called from the yard next door. Hi there, said Mr. Cassim. This is my neighbor, Miss Summers, he explained to the boys. It's very nice to meet you all, Mr. Summers said. Miss Summers said, I have been admiring your hard work, your handwork on Mr. Cassim's garden. We love to we would love to help you too if you need any gardening project, Sadiq said.
All right, mashallah. Hey, who's this?
That's my grandma.
Yeah, wow, you've by far you've gotten the most shout outs and comments. Whoa, you're going into the Hall of Fame, the Storytime Co-Pilots Hall of Fame. Mashallah, we love you so much, Leyana. Then we have Athar Ramadan saying, great job, Lulu. Good job, Leyana from Jannah. All right, mashallah. And my mom also threw in a shout out for you too, okay? All right, mashallah, that is so awesome. So let's keep up the good work. Mrs. Summers said, I could use some help picking berries from the blueberry bushes in my yard. I have to stay in this wheelchair until my legs heal. I can't quite get to the berries. The boys all looked at each other and grinned. We'd love to help you, Zaza said. Yum, said Sadiq. I love blueberries, said Walter. Wonderful. When you're done at Mr. Qasim's, you can each pick some, bring some to your families, Mrs. Summers said. I think we're done here for the day, said Mr. Qasim. Feel free to wash up and head next door to pick up some berries. Great, said Sadiq. Can we come back tomorrow to water the flowers and check on the fence? That works for me, said Mr. Qasim. The boys washed their hands off with the hose. Then they walked next door to Mrs. Summers' yard.
Miss Summers gave each Miss Summers gave each boy a bucket, and they started picking the berries. Look how blue my fingers are, said Zaza. Mine look purple, said Mani. I hope it washes off, otherwise we'll turn everything we touch into blue and purple, said Walter, laughing.
All right, mashallah, mashallah. And I believe right there. Okay. The boys picked 2 bushes before they had to stop and go home. They each took a bowl of berries with them. Thanks, Miss Summers. We can help pick more berries tomorrow if you'd like. Of course they would, right? Said Sadiq. That's very kind of you, said Mrs. Summers. Thanks for the berries, the boys all shouted. The next day, the Green Thumbs Club was at Mr. Qasim's watering the garden. Be careful with the water, Sadiq, said Mr. Qasim. Too much water can be bad for flowers. Sadiq poured slower with the watering can, being careful to make it even. Walter and Gavin pulled weeds from the dirt. Zaza and Manny inspected the fence they had built. The stakes were still firmly in the ground, and the chicken wire stood tall. Most importantly, the flower shoots were still standing. The fence had worked.
Shower shoots were still standing. The fence had worked. Mani looked up and saw Mr. Summers sitting on her desk. We're almost done here, Mr. Summers, he said. That's okay, Mani, she said, smiling. The berries will still be here. When they were done with their work, they walked to Mr. Summers' house. The Green Thumbs Club members soon began picking more blueberries from the bushes.
All right. So, oops. Sorry, folks. Okay. You know, my grandma lives just 2 blocks away, Walter said. I've heard her say how great it would be to plant a tree in her yard. She likes to have some shade in the summer. He dropped a few blueberries into his bucket. When is she going to do it? Asked Manny. I don't know. I think she could use some help finding the right tree seedling for her yard, preparing the soil, and planting it, said Walter. The boys all looked at each other. It could be our next project, said Walter. It sounds like a job for the Green Thumbs Club, said Sadiq, laughing. All right. The end. Okay, mashallah. Hey, Lyanna, did you enjoy that story?
Yes, I really did.
Okay, mashallah. So hey, listen, you also got a shout out, a berry. Since we're talking about blueberries, a very blueberry a very blueberry shout out from
My dad.
Baba. Yeah. Mashallah, Liana, I am so proud of you. And you know what? I am so proud of you too. And we are all so proud of you, Liana. Thank you so much for joining me. Um, before we send everyone off, I just wanted to talk about, the importance of helping each other out. Okay. So, Liana, we all live at home, right? We all have, some of us have, older brothers, younger brothers and sisters, parents. It's very important, especially as a Muslim, right, to always help someone when there is a need for someone to be helped, right? So Mr. Qasim, they noticed that his hand was hurt, his shoulder was hurt. Mrs. Summers was in a wheelchair. So there's a lot of opportunities that we get, in our day-to-day lives, whether it's mom trying, whether it's mom doing something around the house, whether it's dad doing something around the house, whatever it may be, helping out with the groceries, helping out clearing of the dinner table at our house when we go to visit someone's house, right? I know there's not a lot of visiting going on now, but if we're going to like family members' houses, then we should always be the one who definitely doesn't make a mess, but is always looking forward to help each other. Not only does it make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala happy, right? Sorry, not only does it make the person you are helping happy, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes very happy with us. I understand. Hey, Leyana, I want to ask you something. Um, do you remember when was the last time you helped someone?
Yes, yes, I do. When like the Islamic Association, like when they like did like the helping feed your neighbor program, I helped with them, and I like helped pack the food and stuff and gave them to the less fortunate people.
Mashallah, mashallah. And Liana, mashallah, is a very frequent, her and her family, entire family, along with a lot of you families are very, frequently show up to the masjid to help for different causes, right? And that's just one way, mashallah, that we help people in need. This is a program that we did a little more frequently before COVID, on a monthly basis, where we would get together as a community and we would make an assembly line to put sandwiches together along with other items and make them into like lunch bags to be distributed amongst the poor people, right? So there's going to be a lot of opportunities for these type of good deeds. So always remember that as a Muslim, it is very important for us to help others in need. It pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you know what? When you help others, you feel happy too. Okay, it makes you feel good about yourself that you did something for somebody. We have over here Sister Salvi, who is our educational advisor and someone who Liana knows really well. Liana is a great helper, mashallah. She used to always help in Sunday school and in the after school programs when we were obviously in person on site and not online, right? Mashallah, mashallah. Hey, so Liana, thank you very much. Okay, I want you to go ahead and wave at everyone. A lot of love, a lot of shout outs. Okay, thank you so much for joining us. And we were excited that you were with us. And hey, you know what? We may invite you again soon sometime, inshallah.
Inshallah.
All right. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
All right. So, folks, for those of you who are watching, thank you so much for the comments. Thank you so much. There's some pictures that have been submitted. Inshallah, I'm going to put them online in our future programs. And first of all, I would love for your child to co-pilot with me in our next story time. There is a link in the comment section. Please submit your name and I will reach out to you. And we can have you, if you're watching, if you want to be on the internet, right? If you want to read with me, help me out, I'll be more than glad to welcome that. And for those of you who are watching, also keep in mind that story time is almost pretty much a weekly program that we have. Sometimes we interject it with a Kahoot. There's always, Alan Majid, y'all. There's always something going on for the kids, and this Ramadan, inshallah, will be no exception. We are planning a whole bunch of great activities. Some of these things, inshallah, to be hosted on site, with keeping all of the guidelines for social distancing in mind, and some things are going to be done online. So, hey, if it's Saturday morning, 11 o'clock, you know where to be. See y'all. Take care of yourself, take care of your souls, and take care of and help everyone around you, anyone, anytime, any place, and anyhow. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.